Hey guys, Pete Hartnett here from Tulip with another quick tip. I'm going to show you guys how to use master layout triggers to really simplify your workflow and applications. So you can see a basic application here where they can do stuff like track parts, track their scrap, and the objective is to basically have a trigger that runs every 30 seconds regardless of which step they're on. In this case, we want to be able to queue a message to them. So for example, we could have a supervisor app where they could pass a message and it would show up on any one of the stations on the floor. For something like, hey, it's time for you to go take your break, or it's time for a shift meeting. So I can kind of cue that behavior here. The big thing that makes this special is we want it to happen regardless of where they are in our application. So we might have 20 steps, and we don't want to have to duplicate that trigger onto each of those steps and maintain each of those steps. So I queued a message for this guy. Like I said, about every 30 seconds, it's going to check and see if there's a message for this station. And when there is, it should show it to us. So you can see the message that just popped up here saying there's a shift meeting, please go to the training room. Like I said, this could be any sort of message, and we could use any number of different systems to actually trigger this. We can obviously acknowledge that message and it'll go away, or we can click back and it'll continue to show us that message every 30 seconds. So I'll acknowledge it, it'll go away. The big thing to know is, and kind of the thing that makes it special, is we've got sort of 4 panes here, but we could have 20 different steps, and we want it to be able to do this logic regardless of where they are. So you can see we were on the work instruction viewer there, and we saw exactly the same behavior. So I'll show you how this works in the app builder. It's actually pretty straightforward. Big thing to know is we've got this table in the background. The ID is each of our stations, and then this is the message we actually want to display to them. So if it's blank, we don't want to send them to that viewer app. But if there's actually a message there, so in this case, station 2 would show a message. So I've got almost an identical app. The only difference is right now there's no triggers on the master layout. Another thing to note is we've got this view message step where they're actually going to view it. I've already built that, but you could display this kind of however you want. There's something to be aware of. So this master layout is incredibly powerful. I generally think about the master layout as kind of the template for every step. And so you can see, very often you use it for stuff like formatting. So we want every step to have these 5 buttons on the bottom. You want every step to have the same header there. But there's also triggers you can actually run on a master step. So if you look on the right side in this triggers, we're going to use this timer section. And there's 2 things we need to do. First, we need to make sure a record is actually loaded. Like any other table, we need a table record placeholder for it. And then we need to load the record for this station. So we'll check that first. And we'll call this load record. And you can see it's going to go when the timer fires and there's a blank here. We'll say 30 seconds. And we're just going to verify if there's actually a table record loaded. So we're going to do table record, current station messages, and we're going to check, and if it is blank, so if there's not currently a record loaded, then we're going to do a table record, create a load. And our ID, like I said, is going to be our station name, like we saw in that table. And we'll load it into that record. Sweet, so that's going to load the record if there isn't currently one. The second thing we need to do is do another timer trigger, and we'll call this check for message. And again, we'll have this run every 30 seconds. And we'll do a table record. We're going to check and basically see if that message is not blank. And if it's not blank, then we want them to go to step view message, which is that step I just showed you that actually displays the message. So that's really all we need to do. If we go and run this application, click run here. It's going to ask if we want to open the Tulip player, and we'll say yes. We can see our app here. If we check our table real quick, we can see there's no message currently queued for Pete's test station. I've got an invisible button here that adds a message. So now you can see we've got that shift meeting message. And then, like I said, every 30 seconds, it'll be checking to see if there's a message in that table. And if there is, it should display it to us. So anytime now, we should expect that to pop up saying, hey, we've got a message. And again, that should work from any step. So, if on the work instruction viewer, we should see it pop up. Yep, so there's our message. If we click back, it won't remove it from the table. So you can see it's still there. So on another 30-second interval, it'll show it to you again. If you clicked acknowledge, it would just clear it out of that table. So like I said, a super flexible tool for us to use to make that logic kind of work on any step. The alternative would be basically to copy that trigger and run it on every different step that we might have in our application, which if nothing else is kind of painful. So this is a little bit of an easier scaled solution. Hope that helps. Thank you guys.